This is the eLearn podcast. If you're passionate about the future of learning, you're in the right place. The expert guests on this show provide insights into the latest strategies, practices, and technologies for creating killer online learning outcomes. My name's Ladek, and I'm your host from OpenLMS. The eLearn podcast is sponsored by eLearn Magazine, your go-to resource for all things online learning. Click-by-click how-to articles, the latest in EdTech, a spotlight on successful outcomes and trends in the marketplace. Subscribe today and never miss a post at elearnmagazine.com. And OpenLMS, a company leveraging open source software to deliver a highly effective, customized, and engaging learning experience for schools, universities, companies, and governments around the world since 2005. Learn more at openlms.net. Hi there, I'm Ladek. This episode is part of a live, real-time series that I recorded at the 2022 EDUCAUSE conference in Denver, Colorado. In this conversation, I speak with Jase Teoh about being a BIPOC leader in the higher ed edtech space and how she has grown with support of her community. And just a quick reminder, you can make sure to never miss an episode of the podcast by subscribing at elearnmagazine.com. Now, I give you Jase.
Welcome back to EDUCAUSE. Sorry, I almost called it EduTech. That's somewhere else. EDUCAUSE here in Denver, Colorado. We're in the afternoon here, and I'm here with Jase Teoh.
Yes.
Which, your presentation is going to be tomorrow.
Correct.
Which, unfortunately, we can't talk to them because they kick us out of the place where we're podcasting. So that's not going to be happening. But you're going to be talking about
BIPOC.
BIPOC. Darn it.
You better not say it wrong.
But that's about, at the end of the day, the panel that you're a part of, that you're going to be talking about is what's it like to be a leader who is not a part of, maybe the racial or the identity majority in these institutions, right?
Correct.
So how do you bring your genuine self there? How do you bring your culture? How do you bring who you are, essentially, to these places? Why don't you introduce yourself first and tell us who you are, where you come from, what institution you're at, those things.
Right. So my name is Jase Teoh. I usually just go by Jase, and I'm actually right now at Cal State University Maritime Academy, because I've been actually in 3 places in the last 6-7 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the Bay Area. I'm currently the Senior Director of Academic Technology, and I manage the simulations. So Maritime Academy has cadets as students, and they are prepared to be captains, mariners, engineering deck, whatever. And so we have a ship on site. The students go on cruise or training, as you would say, for 2 months every summer. So the ship sails. I'm also in charge of the classroom technology, which really needs an upgrade for teaching and learning. And I'm also in charge of the learning management system. So We're in the process of migrating from Brightspace to Canvas. It's actually a state legislature mandate. So we do have to move to Canvas.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So all the 23 CSUs will be in Canvas by 2023, 2024.
Okay. I just had to ask, how did that happen? Like, how did the state legislature even step into this thing?
I think there's a couple of reasons why, because about 15 campuses were already on Canvas, and it just made sense because from a cost perspective, and all the community colleges are also on Canvas. They've been on Canvas for at least 10 years, if not more. And the transfer students coming to the CSU will naturally have a seamless, hopefully, transition into a learning management system they already know and use.
Sure.
And I think it's a long time coming, but I think it was just being forced upon. And usually it's not the case, but...
Does the learning technology, I just have to ask, does it exist on the ship as well?
That is a very, very good question.
When they set sail, are they truly like they're out at sea and they're kind of on their own?
That's a very good question, because I step into this role, and one of the things that the faculty says to me is that our previous LMS told us that they promised that Brightspace will work on the ship, and it did not.
Oh.
So I'm investigating with Canvas, and Canvas says there are possibilities, but what we have to do is self-host our own Canvas server. So it's doable, and I was working with somebody who works for the state prison in Washington, Seattle, as well as somebody probably from the main Maritime Academy on how this can be done. But this is the next step.
Because then you'd have to synchronize
Correct.
with your
And
cloud somewhere.
correct. And it's open source, and there's a different way of running Canvas on the ship when the cadets are on it than when they're on ground, I guess is what you would say. So it's a very interesting challenge, I
That's
guess.
a heck of a problem to have. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about how many other LMS or CIOs or LMS admins or whatever out there thinking they have to think about boats as well.
Nope. Just in the CSU, just Maritime Academy. But I don't know how the rest are doing it. That's the problem. All of the Maritime Academies are on the East Coast. We're the only one in the West Coast. And that is what I think sets us apart from the rest.
Right.
So it's very exciting, but also very daunting.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So take me to this panel that you're going to be on. What are, is this a panel where you're going to tell your personal experiences and challenges and those kinds of things? Or is it already, is there a set format? What is going to be on the stage?
Right.
Just kind of introduce the topic.
So I guess I wanted to preface that by saying that there are 12 of us. The next Leaders Fellowship is sponsored by Bowdoin College primarily, but also partnered with EDUCAUSE and Next Generation recruiters, and along with many others that I can't quite remember at this point. But the main sponsor is Bowdoin College, and it is actually the brainchild of Michael Cato, who is the VP and CIO at Bowdoin College, who wanted to promote more BIPOC leaders into the IT community.
Sure.
To help them in their career pathways, to mentor them so that they can succeed in this environment. So 12 of us got selected from all over based on an essay application with numerous questions. And I was one of the persons selected.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
And so this group of people that will be on the panel are part of the Next Leaders Fellowship. And part of what we want to talk about, the challenges as well as the successes. I think more of the challenges of being a leader in a space where we're predominantly not the majority. So some of us are going to bring in some personal stories, and some of us are going to talk more authentically about our experiences that I think are seldom shared in just a normal space, because it can get uncomfortable.
Of course.
So I think this is what came out of it, part of it, being in IT. So I really want to actually kudos and thank Michael Cato from Bowdoin College, as well as a lot of amazing mentors who have been with us in this journey, who are also leaders already in CIO or some capacity in different universities, who's helping us through this journey.
Tell me about that journey. So, how long have you been on it now? When did you get the fellowship, and what's the journey been like? So what does that mean on the journey? Is it, you said mentorship, so have there been?
So since we're the new inaugural class, Michael's like, we just play by trial and error.
Yeah, of course.
And so we started our first I think we were selected around January. Time is lapsing too quickly for me, but the first face-to-face meeting we had was in NERCOM in Rhode Island. Please don't tell me to tell you what it means right now, but everybody who's in this academy will know it's the Northeast Computing Association for the Northeast. And we met for the first time in March. And that was when we got together. We did a couple of exercises like Strength Finder test, finding your true strengths.
Sure.
And then we talked about designing your life as well, based from two Stanford professors who wrote the book Designing Your Life. It's not just about your life, but it's about work-life balance and discovering yourself and who you are in your career and what you want to be, and how can we help you get there. We also had recruiters come in and talk to us about how the process works, like from when you get the cold call, from how you interview, from how you can be successful, and along the way. So the 12 mentors are assigned to 12 of the mentees, and typically touch base with us, depending whatever suits your schedule, either once a month or every other week, and so forth. So it's grown organically, but what's really have been a really amazing experience is that the 12 of us are minorities.
Sure.
And so we shared a common experiences in life, in our journey, that is hard to explain to some folks who are not part of the circle. So what makes this group really, really special is there's a common bond of shared struggles, I would say, and challenges, and brought us really closer together as a team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you, Can you share some of the struggles? I don't know. Are you allowed to talk out of the group,
Yeah. So
or?
part of what we are going to share tomorrow is, like I said, how do you bring your true self to your workplace? How do you navigate the challenges being a leader? I think for me, it's I can speak for myself, is you have to know who you are and what your values are and what you will and will not compromise. And at times you do have to compromise because we work with so many different people at the university, administrators, staff, faculty, and students, that you're trying to achieve a common goal.
Mhm.
And sometimes you do have to compromise. And I think one of the things that I've learned to do is to listen. Everybody have their own set of experiences. People say, "Oh, I'm listening to you," but they're not really listening. You're listening to really listen, instead of, before I finish what I'm saying, you already have an answer for me. So really finding my own voice, I think, was the challenge, because I grew up in Southeast Asia, and I'm quicker to think about things and process as opposed to speak up. So in a room full of predominantly usually males, they will start talking among
Cheers,
and
it looked
above
like me. You
each
can say it.
other.
It's all good.
They talk above and among each other, and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
Everybody's just talking, in a
Mhm.
board meeting. And it's not that I don't have my voice, but everybody's interjecting. So how do I find my voice in those moments without saying, "Excuse me, hello, I'm here," or maybe she doesn't have anything to say? So just finding that place, the right moment, and being bold about who I am. So it's easy for people who've never had that situation before, but it's difficult when you didn't grow up like that. You didn't have that privilege where you're like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm just gonna speak up. I'm just gonna say whatever I want," and no filter,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
So-
one example.
And so what are some of the outcomes that that are hoped for from the fellowship, from the, like, for instance, the panel that you're going to do tomorrow? Like, obviously awareness raising is the biggest piece of to it, but are there other specific goals that come out of it, or is it really just starting to build this network in this community? And
So I think what collectively we say is, how can we pay it forward? How can we yeah, and how can we? My slogan is this: know that you're not alone. That you have a network of people who will support you. You just have to reach out. You have to find them. We're not many, but we're here.
Interesting.
So that's kind of what I want people to know and take away from. Like, don't think that you're alone in your journey, in your struggles, because some of the stories that I've heard from other folks who've gone through the experiences about how they have to work harder to be where they are, how they have to face discrimination and challenges because of either their accent or the color of their skin. They've had to work double hard to be in the position where they are right now, compared to their counterparts. So a lot of us felt like we have been alone in our journey for a long time. Like, we were isolated, we didn't have a network. And what happened is this network brought us all together, and we're stronger because of it, together. So tomorrow's message is really about, for me, is know that you're not alone, and know your worth. Sometimes you feel like you think are better than you are, but know your worth, and know what you carry forward, and be brave, be confident, be bold.
I love it. I mean, there's nothing. I'm trying to listen. So that's great. What do you get to, or is there any intention to be able to connect you with? Like right now, like we're surrounded by hundreds of vendors, right? So there's lots of touch points. Are there other individuals that outside sort of the higher ed ecosystem that this could touch, or you could bring into, or bring this message to, or is there any pathway for that?
Well, I would say that because we're 12 unique individuals in this program, everybody is finding their own voice on what they're doing. I can give you examples of folks who works with juvenile prisoners. I won't give names, but you can talk to her if you want to. Someone who really want to contribute to Latinx community. who wants to make sure that the students are being encouraged and mentored. They want to give back that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, what I really want to do is to make sure that people know that there's hope, and also to make sure that when I'm out there in the community, which I'm actually exploring, I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce in my area that I'm in, exploring the possibilities of nonprofit, like the homeless population, which is a problem everywhere, not just here but everywhere, and also the state legislation, elections, ballots, politics. We don't exist in a bubble. This is higher ed.
Yeah.
But outside of higher ed, there's all these avenues and opportunities to make an impact and to touch lives. So I think for me, it's more like when I see somebody who's really quiet, for example, because I'm an introverted person, and I
don't know. You're very powerful.
No, I can sense, and I would go up to the individual and say, "Hey, do you want to join us?" Or somebody who's out there by themselves. Or if I see a person of color, I would go up and I'll be like, "Hey, come join us."
Absolutely.
Be very inclusive and be very intentional about that. Or a student, a faculty member, a staff, because our campus is not very diverse. And so it's something that we're working towards. Or in leadership positions, there are a lot of non-diverse people. I know people say there are a lot of Asians around in California, but they're not necessarily Asians that will speak out. And when they speak up, sometimes it's a different kind of boldness. So you kind of have to know the balance between intentionality and wisdom. I feel like you need to know this is a time to say this and this is not. And how do I get everybody on the same page and together collaborative? So I've only been in Maritime for 4 months. I was in a different campus, CSU Stanislaus before. And so I've been learning the culture, the politics of the place, and just trying to be more intentional about who I hire, how I hire, and bring the talent in, and not just put a recruiting pool in like hireatjobs.com, but reach out to a more diverse community where that people are more likely to seek jobs who may not even go to higher ed, who might be a Latino, group, community group. It could be an Asian community group, or, frankly, a Black community group. So things like that. But this group is doing amazing things, and there are amazing people in that group.
Tell me about. So we only have a few more minutes here, but take me to what happens next. Like, how long is this fellowship? Do you then have? Do you feel like either you have like a mandate or a responsibility to continue to carry on the message? Like, how will you look back and maybe interact with the second cohort, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. No. This is a pleasure. It's not a mandate. It's not a responsibility. It's a joy.
That's awesome.
When you do something, when we went through the exercise of designing your life, they ask you a question about what gives you most energy and what saps your energy. And if you sit and write it down and you think about it, I can tell you that this gives me energy, because you're just giving back what you're being blessed with. That's how I feel. And people are just pouring into your life without asking you for anything in return. So, and for me, I've been really blessed in that sense. So I think it's time to just do it for other people. Because I would say one of the things that drew me to the program is I have not had really any mentorship. Like, I've kind of had to, kind of like try and error, fly by the seat of my pants, just observe like people who were not necessarily really good leaders, in my opinion. And there are very many of them out there, but we need many more good ones than not so good ones. And so I really would like to develop and help mentor people into whatever they want to be. Maybe they don't want to be a leader, they just are happy where they are, but how can you stretch them further than just what they're doing? So, and the group is, I can guarantee you 100% that the group feels the same way.
That is awesome.
There's no doubt about that.
Well, is there any way that anybody who's listening here, other than seeing your presentation tomorrow, can learn more about this or tap into it or support it? Or
I wish I remember the exact URL, but I would say if you just Google Next Leaders Fellowship, you will find a lot of information about who we are and what we do. And like I said, we're just in an inaugural group, but I'm sure that we'll open up applicants soon and get the word out there and get more people involved. And together, hopefully, we will make higher ed or the world better or greater, I think.
Super cool.
Yeah.
We have to end on that right there. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and talk with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks again for joining me for the eLearn podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. Just push subscribe on your player right now. And remember, you can join the conversation live on YouTube, Facebook, and my LinkedIn feed every week. I hope to see you there. Thanks.